Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'll give you that. Right at the beginning. Okay, and we're back. Thank you guys for standing by. I just wanted to ask if we're hearing sound through the... Are we getting the sound through the sound there? Because this is okay, there we go. Before I introduce the next panel speaker, I would like to remind everyone that we'd really love to get your questions. So for anyone who is online, you can feel free to use the live chat and just type your questions right in there as they come to you. And we'll either get to them at the end of that guest speaker's presentation or in the Q&A, which will follow after the second guest speaker. In some cases, the questions are actually a part of our hackathon, which we're doing tomorrow at 9 a.m. And we welcome everyone to join that, whether you're here today or online. The next speaker is Elizabeth Verwey. She has grown 4 of her own businesses and for the last 20 years has mentored over 1,200 business owners to grow their dreams. In her opinion, this is the perfect plan, as it lets her run away for some pretty meaningful vacations while her clients stay home to run their businesses. Office Mentors has been awarded 4 business awards and Elizabeth has written 3 books. Currently, Elizabeth Verwey is growing Spoken Lives, Stories Women Share, a women's speaker series she started after a late life divorce, and this year she's licensed a few more chapters. There are more chapters planned for 2019, next year. Today, Elizabeth will talk about getting more done, taking micro vacations, and she will give you a chance to brainstorm your own mission statement and to consider why you're doing what you're doing. Please join me in welcoming Elizabeth Verwey from Office Mentors.
Thank you very much, Luke. Hello, world. I love this. Thank you so much for inviting me to come speak with you today. I'm just thrilled. It's great to be here, and of course, I've been in business since before many of you were born. And I just thought, what is the essence of what I want to tell? And what I want to share today is build a lifestyle. You know, really, you can write off, the Canadian government lets us write off all sorts of things. You can write off many amazing experiences being an ELL trainer. So create a lifestyle for yourself. Do what you love, and it will be a joy. So, yeah, we're not here for a dress rehearsal, right? This is all we get. So I want you to get to why you teach people English. What motivates you? What are the favorite parts of teaching people? Everyone may have a different answer, but really, what is the essence? So, and where are you meeting your clients now? Many of you know that. Some of you just are still at the haphazard stage where you're meeting clients as you go along or getting referrals as you go along. But our why is very helpful. So I often ask entrepreneurs what they would do for free. And that always gets to the essence of why you're doing what you do. I actually volunteered and taught English for many years, but I wasn't good enough to get paid for it. And I'm not very good at languages. Okay. So, did your mother ever tell you that birds of a feather flock together? Right? They do. And when we figure out why we are teaching English to new learners, we can figure out where to find more learners. So when we identify who our favorite students are, then we can really look at where they hang out. And online right now, it's so easy to find people and create raving fans, and then ask for referrals from your favorite clients. And they'll be thrilled to introduce you to their contacts. So ask them to do a Google review for you. That also can make a huge difference to helping people find you. But one thing I help people do is find a hobby that the people that you want to meet do. It might be, I mean, I have a physiotherapist who has built his business through ballroom dancing. He loves ballroom dancing. It's all about movement, right? A chiropractor who was in a big choir. So she's built it all around getting the most out of your voice through chiropractic. So where do you think you could meet your clients? Do you like badminton? Do you like ping pong? You know, chess. Chess would be a great place to learn, meet people, because it's an international language, chess is. So even when you're not good at something, you can obviously meet people and they can teach you, which of course becomes a reciprocal arrangement. Do you know about Malcolm Gladwell's 10,000 hours? Sorry, 10,000 hours. You need to get really good at something, you need to do the 10,000 hours. So of course, we, when we're learning new hobbies, but of course the English language learner needs to know that. And you know, for yourself, don't give up. When you're enjoying something, just keep going. And it helps you meet more prospects, right, when you are learning something new. So it's a chicken and egg situation. So we're going to work a little bit on your mission statement today. It helps direct you. I like it when a business owner can create a mission statement, and I have one. I use metaphors when I'm working with my clients to develop mission statements, and my own is, I am a wheel easing others forward. So I want them to know that it's easy to work with me, right? I'm letting people know that it'll be smooth sailing. So what do you do for people? I want you to call up. What do you do for people when you're teaching them English?
Give them confidence.
Give them confidence, that's right. Somebody else? What do you do?
Build their vocabulary.
Build their vocabulary, yeah. Yeah, that's less of a metaphor, but building confidence, shining a light on a new language, sparking, you know, knowledge. And what are you? Are you a wheel, being easy, or are you a rocket, right? What is an adventure to work for you? Anish said about the roller coaster. I thought, oh, I don't know if that's a great metaphor, but it is a metaphor, right? But you might be helping them discover the secrets of a language, or the mysteries will be unraveled working with us, you know, that sort of thing. So we're going to pair off with someone that you do know and brainstorm for a few minutes to get to the mission statement, okay? And you'll write, oh sorry, there's handouts. Could you send out the handouts? Because we'll write everything down, that's what brainstorming is all about, right? And write it down on the back of the first page. And then we'll get some ideas. But brainstorming is all about no judgment, so you don't want to limit yourself there. So write down what it is that you do when you're teaching people. I am a detective. I am a, what are you?
Disruptor.
Disruptor. I am a disruptor. Yeah, for sure. So everybody's getting organized. This is awesome. Hope you at home are writing down some things that you are with using a metaphor. So on the handout it says, I am a... Okay, so after you have some of the ideas, I am a, what do you do? I am a wheel easing others forward. I am a disruptor that, I bet you already have yours, right? I am a disruptor that, or who, I'm a disruptor who,
Set people free.
I'm a disruptor who sets people free. Okay. So I'll have some of you, a few of you stand up and just shout out your, if you've got something, we got one, yeah.
Hand around the,
Oh, thank you so much.
hand around the microphone here.
Thank you.
For some people.
Okay.
Oh yeah, that was me. I'm the disruptor and I set people free. But what was interesting to me was my favorite clients were on both ends of the spectrum, but I'd never looked at it that way before. So I love business clients because they're just razor sharp. They have no time and they need results immediately, and that's what I can provide. On the other end, I love the people who have no money and that you can just give because you can help them.
Mm-hmm.
I love them. So both ends. That was a fabulous question. Sure.
I couldn't agree more in terms of the favorite client. I have
Yeah.
the exact same idea here. And on the mission statement, I wrote two separate ones because I feel that I am a language coach, but I'm also a manager. So I am a language coach that helps teams, people, students improve their overall communicative skills. But I'm also a manager that thinks, develops programs, ideas, and solutions.
So if you were going to use a metaphor, if you're going to use a concept that, is there one that captures a manager and a language coach?
That's very interesting.
Is this a, I am
Am
a
I?
octopus, what did you say?
We've worked together, so I don't know.
What did you say?
Conductor.
A
I'm
conductor.
a conductor?
Yes.
I can be a conductor. Am I? Thank you.
Okay, and you've got all the people working together, right?
Collectively,
Mhm.
in an interactive way, in a collaborative way, I think.
Oh, I like the conductor.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. Oh.
There you go, brainstorming at its best. And you are a conductor who,
And I could see the same metaphor for both roles, as
Yes.
a coach and as a manager. Maybe as a conductor to add people's individual voices come together. And
it's beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm a conductor who orchestrates, you know.
yeah, because I feel like that when I'm with students and when I'm with my teachers, training and managing them as well.
Mm-hmm, perfect, perfect.
Thank you.
No problem. I put two. I am a motivator that gets others excited.
Ah, nice.
And then the other one that I thought of that's kind of similar is I'm a weightlifter, which is obviously not a weightlifter. I've never been to a gym in my life. I'm a weightlifter that elevates others to where they want or need to be.
Nicely done. Yes.
I also have the motivator one because that's huge. I also like I am a trainer that gets you in shape. You know,
Nice.
not
Gets,
really.
gets your English in shape.
Yeah, and physically too, because
Yeah.
we're outside talking to people and all that. But yeah,
okay.
it's literally gets you in shape, but also gets you in shape for language learning.
Right.
And the other one was, I am a construction worker who has all the right tools to do my job.
A creator.
A creator,
Yeah.
Maybe creator, yeah.
I also have thought of springboard for some
Yeah.
English language. Like you really give them a
Help
step.
them springboard up, yeah, great.
Good. Okay.
They don't want to be put
Is there
on the
anyone
spot, of
else?
course.
Okay.
No, okay.
Okay.
You told me to dream, so
Yes.
you know, I just put down my dream, and you know, I want to be a dancer that dances on Broadway.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
That's all I want. So I want to meet the physiotherapist who
Yes, that's right.
who teaches ballroom dancing.
I volunteer at the Alumni Theater. We should talk.
Okay,
Get you
good.
get you
I am
on
an
stage.
alumni. Absolutely, I'm at that age.
Good, good. Well, the important thing too, when you come up with this beautiful mission statement, is to Google Translate it into the language that you want to reach your students. Because if you're using it and they use Google Translate, you want to know what it says, right? You want to know what it means in their languages, right? So good, great. Yes, okay, so the mission statement really gets to, you know, you've got the why you teach English. The mission statement gets you a little bit further deep, and then you work with a graphic designer, or you think about your brand, what brand you're projecting, right? Brands are a very personal thing, they're full of personality. And when you bring together a team to work for you, you want to have that brand figured out so that you can teach everybody what they're representing, right? When you're the conductor. So yeah, when you want to do that, so often a graphic designer, I've gone through the process a couple of times, they ask you a ton of questions and they get deeper down. And if there's a specific culture that you're targeting, you want to have maybe a little bit of that culture, some elements of that culture visible in your branding, right? But some people already have a brand. You know, as I said, I have a couple of brands, and if you don't love it, change it, okay? Because when you're out there representing a brand that you don't love, it's not a pleasant thing. So figure out one that you love. With Spoken Lives, I have a heart and several hearts. There's about 5 hearts, and it's just, I just love this project, and I love the brand. It really represents us. And so when you have the logo and you have the brand, you can get things obviously printed with it. You can get shirts, or you can get a bag, or a thumb drive, or journals, whatever you think your ELL language learner might like. I go as far, I do a little shock of my hair in purple, so that when people see my brand, they see the purple and they translate that. Stand out, don't be afraid, really, be memorable, because there's a sea of ELL teachers and schools, and you want to stand out, right? So wear some of the colors of your logo every day. You can really get into wearing whatever color there is, if you like it, right? But social media is a cheap way to meet lots of people, right? Where are your prospects hanging out online? Do you know? Ask them and listen and figure out where they are. And as we know, photos are worth 1,000 words, right? So we don't have to always we don't always have to communicate in words. We can use photos. Take your own photos if you can, because of course stock photography is so overdone online, so we can take our own photos and use them. Use original photos, as I said. And maybe a prospect would be interested in reading a blog of the school and build relationships. I actually was working with a fashion person, can't remember Eastern Europe where she was from, but I encouraged her to write a blog and to alternate the paragraphs, so English in her native language and English in her native language. So she has fans on both sides of the ocean, and it actually led to several magazine articles in Europe in her mother tongue, which was a real thrill to get. But you know, online you can do a lot. Also, an English newsletter. I think it's really underestimated how much the English learner wants to get a newsletter in English. They will use Google Translate and that sort of thing, but they'll be so proud to get that, right? It's also a great way online to highlight your students' successes. So what I suggest, I've seen a lot of really poorly done testimonials that students have done where they're sitting there, they're so outside their comfort zone, they really want to please their teacher. They do, they read a testimonial that they've prepared, and it's very tense. You can almost, you ache for them because they really want to do a good job for their teacher. So sit down, interview your student, joke around with them, get them comfortable, have the video going so you don't have to get up and adjust, and then, you know, continue asking them what they learned and that sort of thing. Make it really playful, fun, outside if you can, you know, in another setting, and then tighten it up, right? Edit the video, and or hire someone or barter with somebody. Maybe some of your students will know how to edit the videos. They seem to be very talented. But make them feel at ease, and then ask them a few questions and have them rave about your work together, and then put that online. When we tell stories, it's always best, right? The factual stuff, it just doesn't work so well. So when you have good video, your prospects will be thrilled to see how your students interact with you and how you interact with the students. So that's something worthwhile. And if you do on-the-spot learning, then take them to the grocery store and interview them there about words that you've learned together or wherever it is. So if your favorite students or some of your favorite students have already gone home, you can interview them on Skype. And as I said, edit it down to the favorite parts and use that. Okay, how else have you used your happy students, your raving fans, to highlight the work that you've done together? Call out any, how have you highlighted your work together?
Other than doing posts online?
Do you do English posts?
Yeah, so we try to encourage them, just because in our case, because we're at different locations every day, you know, post about where you are, teach a fact about where you are in English, but also your own language. So
is that the hashtag on the spot? Or?
Yeah, it's the hashtag on the spot language, and so wherever they go in the city, you know, they can catalog, and we also create Google Maps with our students.
Nice.
So everywhere they're going throughout the city, they're actually uploading pictures to Google, and they can, and that in turn shows their picture and the location, whether it be Fran's Diner or Roy Thompson Hall when they were there. So if people type in Roy Thompson Hall, they may just see one of our students, you know, taking a picture because it's uploaded to Google. So creating a Google Maps for them was a good idea. Any other?
That's good.
Well, I just got present to how terrible I am at this.
Oh, yes.
Or I save them in my heart, and, you know, wonderful, touching stories where you've been moved at how you've changed somebody's life. You go, oh, that's nice, done. Like, I don't capture it at all. But yeah, I'm actually loving the progress that you're showing even so far, of getting it clear in your mind who you are, and then presenting who you are, and then reaching out and having other people say who you are.
I think, yeah, that's
This
one
is
of
super.
the...
I wish I knew you 10 years ago. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay, thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah, what I like to do is I use them, students, a lot in my content. So the content is sometimes created by students, and I put that either into the textbooks, perhaps, or onto the podcast that I have, or I interview them on my podcast. Another way that I do is I use I don't do a marketing testimonial, but I do a situation where they tell their journey of how difficult it was to learn English, and I incorporate that into an orientation. Now, as a school, or you could incorporate that as the teacher on the first day of class. And another idea I do is a warning, which is a new thing I've developed, where students who have actually not reached their IELTS 6.5, because everybody wants IELTS 6.5 or IELTS 6, and they failed, and they explain why they failed. And usually in a shameful, darkened video, why I failed, they don't want to tell anybody. But if I can get somebody to tell why they failed, I find that to be a really powerful motivator for future students when they walk in.
What are some of the reasons that they give for why they failed?
Usually lazy. You know, I'm too lazy. James told me to do this. I didn't do it. You know, I should have done it. I didn't. Listen to James. And that's a powerful message to get for the new students to hear. Because you do talk, and sometimes they don't always listen. You know, they're young and have other things on their minds.
That's right.
So those are some of the ideas that I use with the students.
Thank you. Those are fantastic. Thank you so much. Okay, so we've got a little bit of why you're working with who you're working with and how you're going to work a little bit more effectively in promoting yourself. Of course, you bring in all this new business, you need to be better more effective. You need to get more done every day. So do you know, running a business is not for the faint of heart, right? You get into this and you just find yourself suddenly, oh my gosh, how did I get here? And how am I going to make it better, right? So do you know the difference between working on your business and working in your business? You said it earlier that you're an English language teacher and you're a manager. So when you're a manager, when you put your manager hat on, you probably are working on your business. And when you're teaching your students, you're working in your business. You're a technician, right? Working in your business. So a big part of working on your business is better time management. And actually, it's not time management at all, because we all get 24 hours a day, and we all get to manage that 24 hours how we want to. In fact, time is more valuable than money, because we can make more money. We cannot ever make more time, right? So we have to manage our time. But what it is, instead of time management, it's self-management. It's self-management. So we have to become aware. Awareness, actually one of my favorite quotes from James Thurber is, "Let us not look back in anger or forward in fear, but around in awareness." So I'm going to ask you a few questions that will help you be aware. What do you do when you're procrastinating? That's the best thing that you can figure out. What do you do when you are procrastinating? You watch TV, yeah?
Clean and organize.
Clean and organize, oh yes, that's my favorite type. And watching TV. Some clients, when I work with them and they admit, because it is a shameful secret that they watch TV and they get lost in it, I say to them, well, can we do a friendly reminder? Can we unplug your TV? And then the next time you walk over to turn that on, then you'll be reminded that you didn't actually want to watch TV. That's just catching yourself in procrastination, right? What, anybody else want to talk about? I've got some examples in my book here.
Snack.
Snack. Oh yeah, that's a dangerous one, right? YouTube, yeah, old music, yeah. Yeah, I have some in the book here. When Jack considers what to make for dinner, he spends an hour reading recipes online. Brian plans a lunch break with a friend and ends up going shopping on his way back. Susan starts to listen to a TED Talks and finds it tough to pull herself away to get back. Nina spends all night researching a new project online. You know, while eating lunch, Lucy watches a TV show that lulls her into nap time and she wakes up. It's terrible. So in my business Ate My Life, a recovery plan, I put a couple of those real life examples that clients had admitted to me. So we're going to do a little drawing around time management. Okay. Oops. There you go. I picked up a marker that's not working. Oh. This is an older story about time. Oh, I don't know if you can see this. A time management guru comes into the classroom with an aquarium. And she puts rocks into the aquarium. And she says, "Is there space left in the aquarium?" And people say, "Well, yeah, there's space in between the rocks." And she says, "You're right." And she pours pebbles down that go in and fill up the spaces in between the rocks. Okay, so let's just pretend there's all these rocks. Is there still space in here? Yeah, there's a little bit. Okay, so she takes sand and she pours in the sand and she fills up all the spaces, and everybody agrees that this aquarium is full of rocks, pebbles, and sand. And then she takes a pitcher of beer and she pours it in, and the sand absorbs all the beer, excuse me, and it goes down and actually takes the whole pitcher of beer, which nobody expected. Now, the moral of the story is not that you can always fit something else in, because a lot of people think that, oh yes, I can always take that extra phone call, I can always do. No, it's plan the rocks. So if I make a list of the priorities that I want for my day or for my week or for my year, and then I have them in here. Okay, I've got my client work. I've got my research and development. I've got my sales calls. You know, and if I plan these things out, all these interruptions and all these other things will filter in. But if I get up without a plan and I check my email first, it's deadly. It's everybody else's priorities coming in. It's like a waterfall of other people's priorities, right? So they'll fill up that, say this is 24 hours, they'll fill up that first section, and then other people calling me will fill up another section, and then my rocks, they're totally sticking out of the 24 hours. I can't fit them in, right? So what I do in real life is I go, at the end of the day, I write a list of priorities for my next day. I do it on paper still. You can do it online, you can do it on your phone, whatever. Just write it at the end of the day. And then the next morning I come in, I review that, and I decide what is important, not urgent. The urgent work will always get done. We will make that happen. The important job that's going to move my business forward. And I do that first before looking at my email. If I have to go online to look at my, send an email to someone, if that's the important piece, then I'll do that without looking at the other emails because I have to. Get one important thing done before your day and you will be amazed at the difference in your business. My father taught me that they were frog jobs, those yucky, slimy jobs you want to do, right? You don't want to touch. So just do an important thing to launch your day and it'll make a huge difference. A business consultant gave that back in the 30s to a big corporation, one of the big car manufacturers, and said, whatever you think that's worth, you send me a check in 2 weeks. The president tried it, couldn't believe how it changed things. He taught all his senior managers, he sent the guy a check back, I think it was in the like 36 or something. He sent the guy $27,000, and I give this to you for free. The thing is taking action, right? Reminding yourself how to do it, okay? And just in case, I'm just trying to think if everybody knows the difference between important and urgent jobs. I'm going to chart these out because it is useful to have this information. Okay, this is from Stephen Covey's First Things First. This is his interpretation of the 4 quadrants of time. This quadrant is urgent, and this quadrant is important. My goodness. Okay. This, sorry, I've messed it up already. What is it? Failure? Failure. Okay. Failure. Okay, and not important. Okay. That's right, it's a new hashtag. Okay, so we have 4 quadrants of time. These 2 are urgent, these 2 are not urgent. These 2 are important, these 2 are not important. Okay, so what does that mean? Things that are urgent and important, those are the crises, right? Those are the deadline-driven projects. When you have a deadline, it's urgent and it's important. You always get this quadrant done. My job with my clients is to take them to the jobs that are not urgent, but they are important, and they're going to move their business forward. They're going to get more important things done. So that is the planning, the preparation for these meetings, to make those meetings more successful. Okay, so things that are urgent, that are not important. I love giving this example. Very successful lawyer who had a crackerjack admin assistant. He, when the mail came, he wanted it on his desk, and he opened everything. He opened all the junk mail, he opened all the anything. And I used to say to him, what are you doing? Like, just let her filter your work and let her do her job, and you can deal with the important things. But he couldn't do that for a while. He got to it. But interruptions, they're not always urgent, but they feel urgent, right? When somebody shows up at your door or somebody phones you. Urgent, not important. Interruptions. Yeah, it's so funny because a lot of people my age don't enjoy the texting culture. You know, that we're texting everybody instead of phoning people, but I love it because it's letting people reach me in a way that isn't urgent, but when I get to it, I get to it. So that's, so many things are seem urgent. Some mail, some meetings. You're called to a meeting and you're sitting there thinking, why am I in this meeting? I can't believe I'm here. So, and things that are, here the quadrant of waste that are not urgent and not important. That's where the TV falls, and trivia and the tidying up and the escape activities, right? Though that's just a framework to think about what you're doing in your everyday, right? Some people try to make a template for their day. They know when you become aware, when you keep a time log for a little while, a couple of days, because the first day, excuse me, but it's all bullshit, right? The first day you're really effective. I'm going to keep a time log and I'm going to show myself how effective I can be. But in reality, the first day is just a practice run, because the second day you kind of wear out and you do an honest time log, and the third day is when you get the real story about what every day is like. And then you can analyze it and you can see, oh yeah, my high energy time is this time. For me, it's from 9 to 10 in the morning. I have a really high energy, productive time. I don't take appointments, meetings, anything like that in that time, because I know that about myself. But at 1:30, man, nap time. I'll take any meeting at 1:30 because I'm half there anyway, that sort of thing. But I'm really aware of my own energy level so that I can maximize the effective times that I'm going to work on something important, right? So I keep the I choose to do list pretty evident for me, and I feel pretty organized as I go through that day. And what was I going to say? There was something else about that. Okay, got that. Don't want to miss anything here. But the getting more important work done and self-care are probably the most important part of being an entrepreneur. When we work too hard and we get burned out, then we're less effective in getting the important things done. On my website, actually, there's a short recording, about 5 minutes, called The Joy of Micro Vacations. And to give you a sense, 20 years ago when I started my business, I recorded a cassette tape. 45 minutes, The Joy of Micro Vacations. Now it's down to 5-minute video, or, not video, just recording online. And I'm going to give you it in 5 things. They're cheap and cheerful micro vacations. They are unplugged and on your own. No compromises, on your own. They are short, refreshing, and they recharge your batteries. And you need to block the time off in advance. And should you decide to book something else in, you have to, first of all, block off the other time for your micro vacation and then take the other appointment, right? But when I find myself procrastinating, I know it's time for a micro vacation. I find for myself, I take one about once a month. If I can do 24 hours, fantastic. If not, I take 4 hours. I go to the art gallery, take myself out to lunch. I love Allen Gardens in Toronto. What's that? Golfing. Micro vacations? Well, a massage. Sorry, cheap and cheerful. They're unplugged and on your own. And they're short, refreshing, and recharge your batteries. And you need to block the time off in advance. And then when you block the time off in advance, it's a promise to yourself. You don't have to know what you're going to do. It's just for yourself, right? Actually, I had a friend tell me this morning before I got here that she and her husband decided to take 24 hours unplugged, digital detox, I call it. Actually, I have another video on my website, digital detox. And she was so pleased that they'd taken 24 hours to do this. And she said, of course, we couldn't get anything done. We went shopping for a sofa, and I knew the store I wanted to go to was in Queen West, but we couldn't Google it. So we wandered around Queen West, and we ended up at a certain store, and we bought our sofa. But she said everything that they wanted to do, like we're having a discussion, and they wanted to, prove something was right. You couldn't do that. So you just had to agree to disagree on that. And then they ended up, he's a chess pro, and they ended up playing chess, which they don't do typically. And so it's led to this new possibility for them to play chess together, which they hadn't done before. So you don't know what you're going to discover until you try. detoxing for a little while and doing something just for you. So that's what I do when I find myself procrastinating. Sometimes I am in the city and I don't have a car, so some of my most successful micro vacations have been 24 hours, where I'll take a bus, planned a bus trip to a little town. I've rented a B&B. The people pick me up. I take, just some time by the fireplace, and sometimes they have a cat or dog, which is also a thrill. And then I come home, and it's like I've been away for 3 days, 24 hours in a new environment, a bus or train trip. Like, it's all an adventure, right? And it's cheap and cheerful. But, there's lots of things in Toronto that are absolutely free. It's so personal to you, and it's important to figure out. If you figure out what refreshes you, then you can be more effective when you come back, right? Okay. And yes, so digital detox, it can help your brain defragment and get more organized. I also online, I don't know how to spell binaural beats, but binaural beats, B-I-N-E-A-U-R-A-L, I bet. When I am having a hard time focusing, I'll go on YouTube and they have binaural beats for focus, or binaural beats for I don't know, all sorts of relaxation they have. But the focus one, I'll put that on in the background, and I find it does do something. It's supposed to bring your brain in alignment, brain waves in alignment. But for me, it works. It doesn't matter if it's actually working or if it's a placebo effect. I get more done. Okay. So when I was thinking about what else, sorry, I'm blanking on entrepreneurs and English language, how you, edupreneurs might want to know. I thought about having better sales conversations. I thought that might be useful. Hope you'll agree. So when we are trying to have better sales conversations, we have to test and measure what's working, okay? So if I asked you now, how many sales conversations, or how many conversations with a prospect, with potential students, would you need to have to get one student? Do you know?
2 to 3.
Oh, does it work?
Ideally 1, but 2 to 3.
Does it work for you to get one? You have one conversation and get a student every time? No. 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 When you're starting out in business, it's usually 10 sales conversations to one client. I don't know what it is in your world. When a couple of years ago I measured it, it was 5 sales conversations to one client for me. But you just have to measure, again, awareness. You measure what your results are now, and then you work on improving it. So I'm going to give you an exercise that works best if you think of your last sales conversation. So think of a time that you were talking to a student that was a potential client for you, and they didn't end up working with you, okay, or not yet anyway. Okay, think of these questions and answer them as honestly as you can. Okay, there's only really 2 questions. Let's see if I put this on. Yes, I did. On the handout, what went well and what didn't go well. But there's sort of 4 things. We'll start with the what didn't go well, because we can always beat ourselves up easier than we can give ourselves credit, right? So what didn't go well that was outside of your control? So what didn't go well in that sales conversation that was outside of your control? Maybe you got to the coffee shop and there weren't any seats. Maybe you were trying to have a conversation and there was a yappy dog there. It was outside of your control. call out some of them? What comes to mind?
People walking in.
People walking in the conversation, interruptions.
Their language level.
Their language level was making it difficult to communicate. Okay. And
Students were like too busy.
the students were too busy to meet with you, or they were distracted while they were...
So I've done some tutoring, job interview kind of things, and like maybe you're too busy with your current job, you're trying to get a better job, and you get swamped with work.
Okay, so
Well,
they're...
this other thing, I can't do it right now. It's not
So they're too busy to actually work with you. That's, yeah, they have other activities, yeah. So that's outside of your control. Okay. What didn't go well that was within your control? And this is the part you want to be really honest. What did not go well that was within your control? This is where the gold is. Yes. Microphone, please.
I wasn't clear about money and my objectives, how much it would cost for me to do the services that they wanted.
Okay, so you couldn't really answer the questions that they had, right?
I didn't bring it up, we just talked around it, and it was important, and the meeting came to an end, and then I drove away realizing, oh, I didn't do that, and it was one of the most important things.
That's right, and they were probably shy to ask.
Velour. Velour. What was that? Velour.
Velour. Follier.
I'm just saying, yeah, sometimes pricing.
The pricing, okay.
Need the money.
Okay, that's awesome. You know, it's so interesting. I have my pricing right online, and people tell me all the time, I'm so grateful you put that online because it makes it so easy. And, you know, it's just one of those things that some people don't want to be that transparent, but of course in the sales conversation you need to bring that forward. Is there anything else you want to add? No? Yes?
Point.
Oh, microphone, please.
So to that point, I don't know if I'm not being transparent, but we don't have our prices online. Number
That's
one,
fine.
we work with agencies who have our pricing anyway, but at the same time, I've heard so many times from students that had they seen the price, they wouldn't even message me in the first place.
Yes, when I put my pricing online, I was kind of nervous about that. I mean, it's on the frequently asked questions, I think, so it's not like it's right up there front and center. But people who are interested find out, right? And
Right.
people who are in a rush and whatever, we get together and we have to have that sales conversation. I'm not saying you have to,
Yeah.
I'm just saying it has cut down my sales conversations that don't go anywhere, right?
Right.
But you're right. It might be a red flag until you have. But your website clearly defines how valuable your
Right.
service is as well. But anyway,
Hopefully, yeah. Thanks.
yeah. So you know, often not having paperwork or not being organized, that sort of thing, is something that we can improve. Right? It didn't go well, and it was within our control, so we can improve that and up our stats. Right? The third question is, what went well that was outside of my control? What went well that was outside of my control? Sometimes you can run into a happy student, you know, a satisfied customer. Yes.
I went to make a pitch, and they knew everything about me.
Perfect.
They just creeped me and watched everything, and it was a little scary. But yeah, we know that. That's why we were having the conversation. So I was ready, and it was a short meeting.
That's fantastic.
You're her.
That's-
You're it.
We know that you're the one we want to work with.
Yeah, and I think that's pretty available, right? With the internet, anybody can find you and know you.
Yeah.
How are the kids? You go, who are you?
That's great. So that's outside of your control, that somebody did the research really well.
Yeah.
But it was within your control that it was all available online. Right?
And the referrals as well. Sometimes, you know, the
Speaking to the microphone, thanks.
And when someone recommends your or refers a client to you. That's-
Referrals are the best,
I know,
right?
it's absolutely, and sometimes you don't even know where it came from.
No,
but
that's right.
it does get to you, and it's.
I met someone at the reference library. They told me you're the only tutor I should work with.
But like you said, it's you don't control it, but you plant the seeds, right?
Yeah, oh.
Now you did good work. in the
That's
past,
right.
And it,
They call it farming. You're planting the seeds. And I had a woman call me, W.O. Mitchell's daughter called, and she said, I went to a writing retreat, and 2 people recommended that you're the only person I should work with randomly at this conference. And I'm fantastic. Who were they? No idea. She has no idea. Just random conversations. So you never know what those seeds are going to sprout forward. And then what went well that was within your control.
I think finding that connection with the student, a mutual interest or something outside of language learning.
Good.
It's like, oh, so what do you like to do for fun? Or what are your goals? Or what was your job? And just finding that similarity or that thing that bonds you both on
That's
a personal
right.
level.
A connection.
A connection,
Yeah.
sorry, yeah. A personal connection. And I think that has the biggest...
That is fantastic, of course, yeah. I answer that for myself, that I'm well rested and organized, you know, that I'm ready for this. Makes a big difference, yes.
Yeah, one of the things that I've learned over the years and become accustomed to is when the sale is not going to happen. When you recognize this is not going to work and you got to get out of the meeting, you got to end it because it's just a waste of time, you know. And so I've learned that skill over the years to recognize this sale's not going to happen.
Well, hopefully too, you'll end it with a planting a seed.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's the thing is, some people aren't planting seeds and they're just, oh, well, this isn't going anywhere. But, you know, it's like, oh, yes, and I hope that you can let your friends and family know.
Exactly. Yeah. See you later.
Yes, that's right. Oh, okay. Great. So I hope that was useful for you, but whenever I have a conversation that doesn't result in a sale, I'll quickly ask myself those 4 questions, and I can figure out how to do a better job, even screening next time. Often I will say to people, would you like to have a Skype meeting, or would you like to have a phone conversation? Because traditionally people like to meet us, but it's really not necessary to have the sales conversation, right? I Skype, have a lot of clients, actually one in LA, that's about it right now, but I've had people actually in Japan, I've had other clients in other countries, cities, and it's very successful, of course, online. Actually, my boyfriend, he learns with a Spanish tutor online as well. So there's lots of opportunities there. Okay, so the other way to make more money in less time is to sell more to the students you're already serving. Now that could be through your website, if you have a website that can link over to other products that you know, like, and trust, right? Or it could be local, like one of the tour providers in Toronto you might work with and get a referral fee. Or even, selling your on-the-spot language tote bag, or, that sort of thing. But one step at a time is always the way to grow a business. Now, I have an exercise with me that I'm apologizing to the people online because I didn't know we were going to be online, but this is going to be helpful for the class we have here. So I'm going to ask you to stand up. It's called One Step at a Time. Okay, stand up, find a place in the room where you're comfortable. I'm going to be the caller in this experience. And every time I ask you to take one step, please do so in any direction that you wish, but only one step at a time. Your step can be a big one or a small one. It can be a step to your left or a step to your right. It can be a step forward or it can be a step backward, a step in any direction, as long as you keep to the rule, one step at a time. By taking one step at a time, you move through the world and this room at a very slow and deliberate pace. And moving one step at a time enables you to take a microscopic look at your moment-to-moment existence and pattern of movement. Each time you take a step, tune in to where you are and how you feel in the new position that you find yourself. Look around and see where you are in relation to the rest of the population in this room and where others are in relation to you. There will be pauses during this experience. Please use each pause to get in touch as deeply as you can with your feelings and thoughts. Okay, I think we're ready to begin. So would you now take your first step? And having taken this first step, tune into how you feel. You took a first step into an unknown. What does that feel like? Look around. See who you're next to, where the others are. And now take your second step. Each time you take a step, you make a choice. And each choice you make has a consequence. Think about that. And now take your third step. Each of us has his or her own pattern of movement in this world. You have taken 3 steps so far. Have these 3 first steps unfolded a pattern of movement that you can recognize as being characteristic of you in some way. Think about this for a moment. Would you now take your next step? Remember, there is no way that any of us can get all that we want. We have to make choices in this life, and each step you take is a choice. Your choice. Consider that for a moment. Now take another step. Remember, only one step at a time, in any direction that you wish. And now take another one. See how you feel in this new position that you find yourself. Now, before you take the next step, see if you can make a decision as to what kind of step you're going to take and in what direction. And then when I ask you to take the step, see if you can get in touch with your will in action, and see what that feels like. Okay, take another step. And now would you take another step, please? Each of us has their own pattern of avoidances. Can you become aware of what you have been avoiding so far? And now take another step, please. Are you doing what you really want to do, or are you doing what you think you ought to do, or what you believe is expected? And now take another step, just one step at a time. Ask yourself, how satisfied are you so far with the steps you have taken? Are there some kinds of steps that you haven't taken yet, but which you might find more satisfying? Think about that. And now take another step. And still another step. Probably some of you tend to take the initiative and some of you tend to follow, responding to the initiatives of others. What does this observation mean to you? And now please take another step. Notice the position that you find yourself in now and note whether it is satisfying or not. Be aware that this is where you have put yourself. Can you take responsibility for the position that you find yourself in? And now take another step, please. And now another step. Someone once said that a person must make their own decisions about what is most important to them. Does this make sense to you? In the steps that you have taken so far, have you been considering what is most important to you? And now take another step, please. Everyone you meet is in his or her own way vulnerable. Do the steps you have taken so far reflect this? Think about that for a moment. And now take another step. A step in any direction. Each of us has only a limited number of steps in this world. Think about that. And now take another step. You now have only 5 steps left before the end. Let that sink in. Only 5 more steps. Think about what you want to do with your 5 remaining steps. All right. Would you take the first of your 5 steps? And now take the second of your 5 steps. There are only 3 steps left. Let that sink in. And now take another step, please. You now have only 2 steps left. At this moment, would you close your eyes, if you're comfortable, and think over the various steps that you have taken so far? Were there any steps that you took that you can really acknowledge yourself for having taken? And now open your eyes and take your next to the last step. You now have 1 step left. Think over what you want to do with your 1 remaining step. Do you regret having taken certain steps? With 1 step remaining, can you now forgive yourself, really and fully forgive yourself for having taken or having not taken those steps that you regret? And now take your final step. Let yourself experience this last moment. Where are you in relation to others? Where are others in relation to you? And where are you in relation to yourself? Thank you. Please take your seats and we'll talk about this experience. So in your handouts, and I'll read the questions aloud for the people online in case they were stepping around their rooms. Answer these questions in the handouts. Hi.
So, okay, I'll get off stage.
Oh, I was just wondering if I was out of time, if I was over time. Oh boy, I'm sorry. Okay. So what was the most important insight during this exercise to you? What is your own process for making decisions? Do you make decisions quickly, or do you need time to reflect? Again, it would be awareness, right? Do you usually wait to see what others will do before you act, or do you take the lead? That's what a disruptor does. Do you prefer to act with others or stand on your own? What was your reaction to being directed in this exercise? And what was your reaction to being asked to reflect on your thoughts and feelings? So I apologize for going over time.
You're not over.
I'm not over time? Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Right. Okay, I'm good. Okay. So answer a few of those questions, and then I'll just ask people to call out the first one. But answer a few of the questions for yourself. One more minute. Okay, great. So, what was the most important insight for you during the exercise?
I noticed patterns, and I noticed that I noticed patterns all the time. And the first pattern I noticed was nobody bumped into each other. We were always mindful of each other and almost shared the space.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed I always took big steps. I took them in different directions, but it was always almost as big a step as I could take, which was kind of funny. Then I noticed we were all migrating towards the food. I got a purpose to my steps, and I wasn't the only one. We all went there.
Nice, nice.
And we somehow got back together, right? Because I think we were scattered all over, and then we kind of merged.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it also reflects why we're all here. Right?
Yes.
We're all here to hear from each other and get inspired, and I think it's a
Want
nice
to be
development
together.
of what just happened. Yeah.
Well, yeah, you work with people every day, right? It's, yeah.
I found I changed direction a lot and ended up very close to where I started. And realizing that maybe I actually really enjoyed this activity, like these small steps are maybe a reflection of greater decision-making processes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Similarly, I ended up back on the stage where I started, and on the spot, literally. But it's interesting. I'll connect that to maybe my core values, and kind of how sometimes I tend to go on tangents, go off, try different things, but I end up coming back to always, what am I all about? What am I trying to do? And my mission statement, so to speak.
Right. Hey, how did it change for you when you had 5 steps left?
It was, it was very obviously deliberate. I thought that much more about where I want to go, where I want to end up.
Mm-hmm.
It was more purposeful. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I discovered this exercise when my big brother died of a heart attack, and he was 50 and I was 37. And when I got to that 5 steps left, I thought, wow, what do I want to accomplish? It distilled everything for me, and it became the silver lining of losing my brother at such a young age, because I decided, what do I want to do before I turn 50? Because when a sibling dies, it does give a new concept to your mortality. And it was just phenomenal, because it got me laser focused on what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. Did you have something, Luke, that you wanted to add? I'll wrap up.
Yeah, I also I noticed that every time I backtracked, I asked myself why, and to the question of to what degree did this exercise make you? How did it feel to be asked to reflect? I think that it's so valuable, the insight to ask yourself those questions, and I think it's hugely valuable for everyone to do that, and it's rare that we do that.
Fantastic. Yeah, thank you so much. So the last exercise I want you to take a look at was tied in with that, and it's a simple chart, and over on the left hand side you put your specific goal, and then you break it down into several steps so that the goal doesn't look that challenging, right? So if you have a specific goal, let's say build a website. I'll put for some of the online people, build a website. The first step is often finding other websites that you like online. Deciding the colors of your branding. Finding the template that you might want to use online, or what's it called? Is it a template? Oh, the templates. It's step by step. You put those steps down, and then it's not like, oh yeah, today I promised myself I was going to work on the website. It's one simple step. I'm going to go online and see what websites I like. What kind of look am I after? That sort of thing. And any goal, any dream can be built with using this. I can't even begin to tell you the success stories I've had through this simple chart. But I do one for myself every month of only the important jobs, not the urgent jobs. The urgent jobs will get done, but the important jobs to build my business. And it's a game changer. So I offer that to you today to see if it can change your business and maybe even change your life. I know another group called Courageous Women who are using actually my mentor's circle model. I tested this with business owners for 4 years and then wrote the book, and they're using it for personal things using the same chart, and it makes a big difference. So whatever you want to improve or get more of in your life, take a look at this chart and the possibilities it offers you. And I brought a couple of prizes. So whose birthday is closest to today? You'd have your choice. Whose birthday is closest to today? What is it? November 14th? Any other? Ah, we're close, okay. So would you like, Mr. Broadway, would you like 2 tickets to Top Girls that's playing at the Alumni January 18th to February 20th, or would you like My Business Ate My Life, a recovery plan?
Both of them sound.
And what would you like?
My business did eat my life.
What would you?
I'm a Broadway guy, so.
You're a Broadway guy? So the tickets it is. Okay, thanks. And I'm going to offer this to you because you're orchestrating your business right now. So, And thank you so much for your time and attention today.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. I just wanted to ask if there's any questions, if we have a moment for that. Yeah.
When do you get help? When do you get a secretary? What about virtual help?
Fantastic question. Thank you. I didn't cover that. So you get help before you need it, and nobody does that. Thank you. That question is so valuable. So I have two different people who support my business. Very small business, right? But I have one person in every 2 weeks, a different person, right? So 2 people once a month. And one of them has different strengths than the others, but I use them to support me in getting anything that I'm procrastinating out of the way, and a lot of the online stuff that I can't figure out or I don't want to figure out. The one warning I'll give you is don't hire a friend. Please don't hire a friend. I've seen disasters happen. And I actually wrote an article about 5 ways to get free help in your business. And before I started paying people, I started with free help. And actually, this is kind of a natural fit for you, a settlement office that we're helping people get jobs. So I said, is there anyone who wants to work in a small business, experience a small business, or do admin work? Then I will be able to give them a referral. Reference. Thank you, a reference. I've been in business way too long. I can't come up with the word reference. Reference to a potential employer. And that was really amazing because they would come in and do all sorts of things. And then I would just talk to the potential employer about our relationship. And they worked for me on one project for 6 weeks part-time, and that was enough to get them a job, right? And also often at church bulletins or that sort of thing, you can get people who are interested in volunteering. It's funny, we don't know how fascinating we are. As small business owners, people want to start businesses. They don't have a clue how to do it, and if they can work in a small business, they're really interested. I did a lot of high school, co-op program students. They were the best. I had this one who I charged, as soon as I saw her as a technical thinker, I said, okay, I want you to write everything down that we do, and then the next person, I won't have to actually train them. They will just read your instructions and do that posting for me, etc., etc. So she was a real gift in my business. And other people were amazing, just had to handhold them a little bit more. But you're trading off time versus money. So that's why now I have the people who come in for pay, because I'm a little bit busier and that sort of thing. Does that answer your question?
Yes, except for the virtual part. Use any virtual?
Oh, sorry, virtual.
Secretaries or anything?
Virtuals are amazing, and they often, I haven't used anyone because Toronto is so rich with people who are interested in working with me, but just check what their minimum increment is, if it's 15 minutes, because often a lot of the work that we give them is only a short amount, so you don't want to get charged a minimum of half an hour or even an hour. You want the minimum to be about 15 minutes. That saves you a lot of money. But yeah, there are true advantages to that. When I have somebody in and I book them for 6 or 8 hours, if they have 15 minutes down, that's on my clock, right? But if I'm paying a virtual assistant, I just pay them for the work they actually do. Yeah, there's a lot of resources out there. Thanks for the question.
I have a question about a niche. Now, I've seen many, many teachers come through my doors, and often they leave to start their own business, or they have a business idea, they have a plan, and it just fizzles out. It just fizzles out. And so when Anesh, and I worked with Anesh, and Anesh said he's going off to start his own business, I said, okay, well, good luck with that, Anesh. How did you get him focused and able to continue for 9 years, is it, Anesh? No.
Yeah.
9 years. How, when you met him 9 years ago, and you took him under your wing, how has he changed? How has he developed from your point of view?
Okay, I'll give him a chance as well, because he's reaching.
I don't know if you want to hear that. I'm scared now. 'Cause it was like a baby learning how to crawl, forget about walk. So I'm very interested to hear this as well. Yeah, no, please go ahead.
Well, I think the support, right? Because most clients in that program had once a month meetings, and I found that because he's a methodical thinker, there was often reason to meet every 2 weeks and say, okay, tell me the steps that you've done so far, and why haven't you done this? Okay, tell me why let's uncover what the resistance is and move you forward. And there was a lot of processing at the beginning, because you have all the skills for the technical thinking, teacher, but it's more like improv, right? The actual business, right? I guess I just made that up, but it is, rather than the technical, if you were a technical thinker and you want to have a business, it's more difficult to build the business, because it's more like the roller coaster or the adventure, right?
Yeah.
Does that answer your question?
That's definitely a great question, James. I think I can expand a little bit if we have 10 minutes. I would say the biggest thing that I really didn't do prior to all that was just the whole idea of accountability. I'm like, I could do my classes, everything, but I'm like, oh geez, Elizabeth told me to do this. She's gonna kick my ass if I don't do it. Like I was scared because she wasn't fun. Like she was, but she wasn't like, she was like coach to me, right? So it was that kind of like, oh right, teachers are the worst learners sometimes. But it was like, I was scared if I didn't do this, she'd actually come down on me. I don't know if you knew that or not, but and when I didn't do it, she would just, well, why didn't you? What held you back from doing that? PlayStation. No, like I don't know. Like these aren't valid reasons. These aren't valid issues. Why? It's not unusual, and I think holding myself accountable. I think I started getting at that time other friends and people to hold me accountable for things, and that's the whole idea of the mentor circle.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're getting together like-minded group people, or even not like-minded, even just completely different people, but
Yes.
holding you accountable for what you're trying to do, where you're trying to go. Like I could say, hey James, have you done that podcast yet? If I reminded you every week, if you knew I was going to ask you about that, you would definitely do it, because you don't want to let me down. And I think that goes on. That was my biggest takeaway in the beginning.
Yeah, it's amazing to me. I don't have the handout here, but if you decide to adopt a goal, like I'm going to, climb the CN Tower, you're 25%, the probability of completing that goal is 25%. But if you tell somebody, I want to climb the CN Tower, or I'm going to climb the CN Tower, it goes up, I'm thinking 35%. Then if you say, I'm going to climb the CN Tower when they raise money for United Way, it goes up even more to 65% actually. I can't remember, I've got it on a handout. But then when you promise to report back, or the person says, oh, I'll give you a call on the Sunday after you do that, then it goes up to 95%, because you really don't want to be embarrassed and say, well, I couldn't get out of bed, or whatever. So
If it's okay. Go ahead.
Just on that point, I think that goes back to what I was saying about the community, James. I think that's why I ended up being
at CSI.
part of this community, is because every time I'm talking to other people about my goals in here, I'm like, oh, they're gonna ask me about that next time I meet them, right? And it's like, oh, how's that conference coming along? Did you talk to Judy? Did you message her? I'm like,
if we leave this topic and never come back, I want to say that I have a mastermind group, and we meet every Sunday, and we have since 2012, and we met on LinkedIn. We met on social media, yeah, and we've kept that commitment to each other, because I know if I tell them I'm going to initiate a disruptive education, I'm accountable to them, and I'm not scared of them.
No.
I've just given them my word.
I was going to say, do you apply cheerful pressure with humor, right?
Yes,
Because
yes.
I say you have to, when these long relationships form, often you become more polite, right? Because you don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. And so that's when I really get in there and say, no, you have to really give each other pressure.
Oh, my soft landing is I want you to hear the love in this.
Ah,
Yeah, bam.
yeah. Okay, well, thank you so much.
So just, sorry to interrupt, there is one person online who did ask a question. Daniel had a question, which is, what are the best steps into becoming a business/leadership coach as a potential career move? Might seem like a big question. I can say
Oh,
it
I was
again.
going to say it's huge. Can we ask Daniel clarification, or, I mean, I'll guess if you're asking that question that you haven't taken coach training, and I think, you know, that's really helpful, because with the coaches training, there's online courses. You do practice, I can't think what they're called, but you do a number of hours that are practicing with your friends and family and that sort of thing, and get practicum, yeah. So get involved in a community, and then pick a niche. I mean, I mentor other life coaches, and when they pick a niche that's like an inch wide and a mile deep, okay, a good example of that is a client who is working with people who are going through divorce, putting their children first. So that's really narrow, but it's really deep, right? There's lots of people in that space. Or an intuitive coach. There's an intuition coach that I've done some work with. Again, a lot of people know about intuition, but they want to learn more about intuition. So, you know, take the training so that you have the confidence, and then with the practicum you have the practice, and then and pick something really specific. People will always say to you, oh, I know you work with that niche, but I wonder if you can help me. Well, of course I can, you know, but if you have a niche online and that sort of thing, it really helps to promote what you do, and you become the go-to person for other coaches as well. I hope that answers your question, Daniel. Okay.
Okay, great. Let's everyone join our hands in saying thank you to Elizabeth. That was very informative and very inspirational. Thank you very much. We're just going to head to a small break again with some food. And we will be back for a panel inviting all four of the guests, two of whom, of course, you haven't seen yet. But we'll invite everyone on the stage, and we'll have an open discussion related back to our mission, why we are here. Thank you very much.